The SciComm Collective acknowledges the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation as the traditional custodians of the lands we study, write and record on, and their sovereignty was never ceded. Hello and welcome to the SciComm Collective.
Different useful knowledge in different areas.
The joy is sharing it, making science accessible, the ignored final step of the scientific method.
Every different perspective.
Science is culture.
The SciComm Collective brings science and science communication to you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our summer short series where we talk to the graduates of the Science Presentations Unit at UWA all about podcasting. I'm Kate, a current Master of Science Communication student, and in this episode I'm excited to introduce Lotte George.
Hello everyone.
Hi. Lotte, just tell me, before we get into the juicy details of the podcast episode that you made for Science Presentations, just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you have been studying at UWA.
Great. Well, I've just finished my third year studying a Bachelor of Biomedical Science, and I studied pharmacology specifically.
Woohoo.
I found science communications a really interesting unit, and I thought, well, I want to get a lot of skills,
Yes.
and I certainly learned a lot. Fortunately, I'm going to be starting medicine next year, so
That's
I'm really,
exciting.
really excited for that. I'm very lucky.
We're recording this podcast on Whadjuk Noongar Budja. Specifically, I've met Lotte at the Tropical Grove, which brings nicely into your podcast. Just tell me a little bit about what you did and why.
Well, I really love making the most of my study breaks, and obviously at uni you can get quite snowed under by stress and projects due, so I always do my best to go out in nature and kind of enjoy myself and lose myself in it a bit for a break. So upon exploring UWA's wonderful campus, I stumbled across the Tropical Grove and thought, well, how can I turn this into something productive like a podcast for my project? So really I researched to find some scientific evidence that yes, going out in nature is very good for a lot of your body systems, and it's very relaxing. And I basically kind of built a kind of impromptu meditation that you can just do on the go right here in the Tropical Grove.
Which was fantastic, by the way. I remember when you played the draft in, so we shared the class together on the Tuesdays, which was awesome. And I remember how playing it back, like we all just relaxed in the class. We were all finally taking a big deep breath. Like, here's our 3 or 4 minute podcast that's due in a week, and just the whole class just took a major deep breath. So firstly, congratulations on completing your course, and congratulations on this, on your assignment too. Would you like to introduce your podcast?
I made a podcast about Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, that hopefully you can do in an impromptu study break. Hi there. Welcome to episode 6 of Thriving, Not Surviving at UWA. I'm your UWA student host, Lotte George. What do you do in study breaks?
I often go on my phone.
I watch YouTube shorts.
Realistically, a lot of phone time.
Picture yourself in a UWA library. You've just taken a study break on your phone and are now feeling unproductive and low because you doom scrolled through people's posts who appear to be having more fun than you. We've all been there. What can you do instead? Today is an intro to Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, exploring nature using all our senses, being present and noticing the small things and the big picture. I'll take you to my fave spot to relax and be mindful. It's eco-friendly and improves physical and mental health, helping us think less negatively and feel more purposeful. You can do it on the go, between studying or classes. See where I'm going with this? I asked clinical psychologist Dr. Marie Sterling about the benefits for us to get outside.
To get benefits from being in nature, usually you need to bring your full attention to the place you're in. Using your study break to do the opposite of what study requires mentally and physically can restore emotional and cognitive resources. If possible, be outside some of every day, even 10 minutes. Humans are interdependent with the natural world. For me, wild places are rejuvenating and inspiring. Spending time in nature gives me a sense of wonder and appreciation. It also reinforces in me the need to protect and conserve natural places.
Try something new and visit the place I'm about to share. Let's explore the Tropical Grove in the heart of UWA, where you can hear and feel your shoes leaving imprints in the red pea gravel. You are connected to this space and grounded. Entering this green dome, feel the beneficent and powerful palm trees, guarding this oasis from the outside world. Stand in the center and take a deep breath. It is nature's cathedral. Columns of towering trees reach towards a mosaic of sunlight and sky. Pick a tree and face it. Like your tree, stand tall and confident. Look up at the majestic sky. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, slowly bring your chin downwards, letting your eyes follow, appreciating every color and texture, finishing at your feet. Acknowledge your shoes. Take a deep breath in and out. They may be new or well loved, but they make you, you. Now, find something on the ground that catches your eye. Closely observe all its details. Trace it with your eyes. Relish in this moment. And when you're ready, carry these feelings of strength and belonging back to your desk. This brings us to the end of another episode. Please note that Shinrin-yoku is informal. I've given you a skeleton to personalize. Go and explore campus to find your fave forest bathing spots and comment these on TNS UWA's socials for your chance to be featured in my next episode. Instead of surviving off doom scrolling, you too can enrich your studies and thrive through mindfulness in nature, like me. See you next episode on sleep hygiene for habits slept on by uni students for generations. Like, subscribe, and spread the word.
What I remember about your podcast is that it had these bird noises that you recorded in the Tropical Grove. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Well, it was actually one afternoon, I think, after a pharmacology lab that was quite long, and I thought, well, I have to capture some bird noises, and I didn't want to get ones online because they're most likely not native Australian birds. So I strolled into the Tropical Grove to have a bit of a relaxation session, and then just heard this wonderful bird call. I'm actually not quite sure what the species was, but it was fantastic. And yeah, I think that's probably my favourite part of the podcast.
I was going to say, what is like the bit that you most loved about the podcast and like, yeah, your favourite bit?
Yeah.
And you just answered it right there.
I suppose, yeah, the bird noises and being able to kind of experiment with, writing a kind of meditation about somewhere that was familiar to me and playing into that and brainstorming a lot and actually coming on site, which was very nice.
I remember our lecturer, Dr. Heather Bray, saying, did you record that yourself? Like, she just did not believe
me. Which was, great. I think I can hear some of them in the background now, and some peacocks.
So because the Tropical Grove is near the arts building, that's where the peacocks of UWA like to hang out. But no, we've definitely gone for the ambience background.
We have.
Today. So what did you find the most challenging when creating this podcast?
I think because I hadn't quite used GarageBand before in my life, it was a bit of a plunge into the deep end, but I really enjoy a challenge, and it was great to learn skills that I hadn't previously come across in different technology, all with a deadline. That's always fun.
Yeah.
I think also researching and trying to find a topic originally, because I did want to do something to do with nature and mental health, but just kind of finding that spot where you're like, okay, great, I can do this. It was quite challenging because there's such a broad range of opportunities out there that honing in was quite difficult because I was interested in everything. So I think I spent more time planning what I was going to do than actually making the podcast.
That's the thing though, so much of the podcast I find is in the preparation. I mean, we're sitting down having a chat today, so I probably haven't done as much preparation as I would have done for my assignment.
Yes, me neither.
But speaking to my own experience of making the podcast, there's a lot more preparation than actually just sitting down and recording. So I really like that point that you made. So, Heather in the class, she goes through purpose, audience, message, or PAM. So if we quickly just run through that acronym.
Well, purpose was definitely to kind of show you that, in a study break, instead of going on your phone and doom scrolling through Instagram and then feeling even more unmotivated than you did before you took the break, I've been there many times. Instead of doing something like that, you can do something more productive at the campus here at UWA and kind of forget the place that you're in when you're stressed and feel a lot better afterwards. And I think really, it was just to provide an impromptu meditation and more of like a skeleton framework that you can actually work off, because I've given you a guided meditation, but it's just an example. You can do whatever you want using all of your 5 senses to explore any of your favorite areas on campus. I picked this one because it was kind of at the heart of the campus, and I thought it's quite accessible, but really there's so many places.
So many lovely places on
It
campus.
is, yeah. So I was again spoilt for choice, and it was quite difficult to choose that.
Yeah.
My audience would be UWA students or other people, anyone that's interested in kind of a quick, I guess, impromptu.
I guess so, at the same time, like, your beauty is that you recorded on the UWA campus,
Yes.
and that is your main clientele or
Yeah.
like your main audience. So
Definitely, yeah.
honing that down was actually really perfect, I found.
Yeah, no, it was very convenient as well. Just, yeah, I suppose my main audience would be UWA students who are interested in improving their mental health whilst on campus when they feel like they don't really have much time to...
Yeah, wind down.
Yeah.
And yeah, coming back to the science part of the science communication, like obviously there's a reason why this is important to do.
Definitely, yes. What I'm kind of referencing is something called Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, where you immerse yourself in nature and, I guess, wing your own mindfulness exercise where you can explore, the area that you're in with all your 5 senses. You can walk, you can sit down, you can do whatever you want. And really that's super beneficial for a range of your system's health, from immune system to respiratory system, and obviously your mental health. But I found it very interesting that it had physical benefits as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, what more could you want, really, being out in greenery and enjoying yourself?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic just sitting here right now. It's like
Yeah.
watching the leaves fall down, watching the leaves on the trees wave a bit. We've got a little bit of wind.
Yeah.
Like, despite being a really hot day in Perth today, it's like
Yeah.
really cool in here
It's
as well.
fantastic.
So it's
nice
awesome.
and shady.
Yeah. So we've got purpose, audience, and message.
Message.
So message.
Yeah, Shinrin-yoku you can really do on the go, even at times where you think, oh, I don't really have time to relax and wind down, I need to get on to the next thing. Really, you can spend something like 3 minutes or less, or if you really want, you can go for a 90-minute walk or something like that. But really, it's something that's so easy and convenient to fit into your schedule and so simple with so many benefits.
Yeah. And it's way easier than just picking up your phone and scrolling.
It is,
as
yeah,
you say.
so much easier.
So what was the biggest takeaway for you? What was something that you learnt from doing this podcast assignment?
Well, I think I kind of, apart from the obvious of learning how to use GarageBand and other programs on my computer, which was very useful, I must admit, I think I really got more of an in-depth appreciation of how science communication works, because it's one thing to listen to a podcast and go, oh, cool, this is really interesting. Obviously, my level is nowhere near what's out there, but you really gain a deeper appreciation of how much effort that's been put into something like that.
Definitely.
And it's kind of nice to listen to something and kind of pick up on different techniques and go, oh, cool, I could do that, or oh, we have this in common. And also, again, getting a deeper appreciation for my subject topic as well, and actually learning a lot more about the research and how useful it can be and the different parts of your brain that activate and everything. I found that very interesting as a big nerd myself, but definitely, learning and practicing science communication is, core to so much. So
I have a health professional background myself, and I remember when I first started getting into science communication, how I met someone, they said, oh, being a health professional or being a doctor is like the original science communicator, because you're having to talk all these complex things to patients and try and get the best outcomes for them. So
yeah, definitely. And there's so many different diverse audiences, and even with the podcast you get to choose your audience, which I think is fantastic. It's always nice to choose one that's slightly challenging or you haven't chosen before, and just explore that and see what you can do.
Yeah, so what does science communication mean to you?
Yeah, science communication in its essence, I guess, is communicating science, but I think it's really encouraging people who might not be as in-depth as you might be in a topic, and actually just kind of gaining their interest and really making them have a positive appreciation and think, oh wow, that's really interesting, even though it might be something that they would never have considered before. So I think really igniting curiosity and kind of feeding that is science communications, and spreading positive research and other findings, and making science far more accessible to people.
So talking more broadly about SciComm 2205 or science presentations, what were your takeaways?
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed the option of having 3 assignments, which were all very different, even though they sound very similar and they kind of build on each other. It's great to have kind of the challenge of doing an oral presentation, which is very different to a podcast, which again is different to a video, being able to become proficient in those mediums. And for me, at least with pretty much zero science comm background, learning like the techniques of how things work and being able to interrelate them and use them to my advantage. I really enjoyed that. I think also the in-person tutorials are fabulous because I'm an in-person kind of gal, so I love attending things, pestering lecturers, asking for feedback constantly. So really, it was really great to be able to have that and learn in person as well as make fabulous friends. And
Hi.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's the thing. I remember giving feedback on yours during the draft and or just even before the draft, like showing you in GarageBand, if you put your levels to the left, it sounds like...
Thank you so much. That saved me.
Because, there was that bit at the start where you got a whole... you layered different voices, and I was like, hey, if you tilt this button to the left, it'll go into your left ear, and then you can tilt it to the right. And
that was fantastic. I never would have worked that out.
But that's what I love about that class too, if I can just speak out of turn, just how, as much as it's Heather or whoever is teaching us those things, it's like, well, all of us have got different skills and are happy to share and learn along the way.
I really enjoyed learning something from everyone. Everyone had something to offer, and it was just so useful to be able to collaborate whilst working on your own project and be supported whilst supporting others, and also just learn so much. Everyone's interests were so broad. It was great to hear talks from probability to octopi. It was fantastic. So I really did love that learning element as well. Absolutely. And seeing people super enthused talking about what they love. And being able to do the same.
So learning how to do an oral presentation came in very handy for you recently.
Yes, it very much did. I was extremely fortunate to be asked to give the valedictory address at my graduation. I was so very lucky to have done SciComm this semester, because otherwise I would have gone in completely blind and been absolutely terrified. Fortunately, I knew how oral presentations worked. Unfortunately, there were no PowerPoint slides, but I know I was using the non-verbal communication lectures and really making sure that I had gestures and everything like that. So doing the SciComm unit really gave me the confidence to even craft a speech. Like, I know purpose, audience, message sounds very straightforward, but I don't think I would have specifically thought of that beforehand. But it was just great through the whole process, from writing the speech to delivering it. This science communication unit saved me. On that day, I was so much more relaxed, so I thought, I can do this, and I've practiced it a lot.
And also Heather gives you techniques for how to deal with your nerves as well.
That was also extremely useful. Even some of the ones that you gave me, I was doing it up on the stage very subtly, like, I'm going to be okay, and it just really worked out. It was such a holistic approach to learning how to give an oral presentation rather than just do one, here it is. It's just great to
get through it.
So it was a really enjoyable experience, and it wouldn't have been anywhere near that if I hadn't done the unit.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lotte. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe and check out our website and socials for more great content. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Find us online at thescicommcollective.com. That's com with 2 M's. Questions or comments about today's episode? Get in touch on Instagram at the SciComm Collective. The SciComm Collective is supported by UWA's Grand Challenges Impact Grant.